Michael, do you want to give us a clap to the cameras, please?
He's spuggy to his mates, the latest teen sensation of West Ham's endless conveyor belt of football talent.
I got in the first team and I got in the England squad. Everything was rosy.
He always was an intelligent footballer.
West Ham United Football Club.
They're taking the calls at Upton Park. Now West Ham are preparing to sell their most talented midfielder.
We knew that financial pressure of Michael was definitely going.
Once Tottenham was involved, there was only one team that I wanted to come to.
Jack Santini was the manager. I don't think he really knew who I was.
How did Santini react when you'd signed Michael Carrick?
Yeah, he was not very happy.
It's funny, in sliding doors, a career could have gone down a whole different path.
Martin, he saw the quality of him.
I have to play this guy. He was my conductor.
I was so happy at Tottenham.
Now bids come in, his future's uncertain.
And there was a bit of interest. You get whispers and this and that.
I approached Daniel. We'd like to buy Michael. He clearly at that point said he's not for sale.
Daniel was pretty stubborn.
He was a great negotiator.
There's a myth around Daniel that perhaps it's warranted.
Thinking that they're going to go and sign someone else. Every million, 2 million after that was quite a lot.
Did you ever think about walking away?
No, I don't think so. I think the very fact that Alex wanted him, I was confident.
He said, I want between 10 and 12 and ended up getting 18. That was Daniel, and fair play to him.
Straight to the middle, please. I just wanted to come and improve my game and win trophies.
There was resistance from the fans. Why was signing Michael Carrick?
If we hadn't been happy with the sum, we wouldn't have paid it.
Too much, if I'm honest, at that time. It was
Got his shirt number?
16, number 16.
There was no way I was replacing Roy Keane. Totally different characters, players.
There is only one Roy Keane, so don't try to find him.
That didn't bother me one bit.
One of the most important and best midfielders we've had.
I feel just totally privileged. Dreams, really.
He's spuggy to his mates, the latest teen sensation of West Ham's endless conveyor belt of football talent.
I've had sort of a lot of taste of the bench this year, so to get a start at home was fantastic for me.
Carrick! Michael Carrick comes up trumps.
At the end of the day, it's just a game of football. That's the way I look at it, you know, whether it's for the under-19s, the reserves, for the first team, you know, it's still 11 against 11.
When I was 13 or 14, I went to about 10, 12, 14 clubs around the country for trials and loved West Ham, just settled to West Ham.
He was a young lad that used to come down during the school holidays from the North East. Newcastle didn't want him. He was in that area but wasn't on their radar. Suddenly I see him go from 5 foot to 6'2". He really did shoot up. He always was an intelligent footballer. He knew the game, good passer of the ball. I loaned him to Swindon, and I remember getting a phone call of his Johnny Frankham, the jockey. He rang me and said, I've just seen the best player I've seen in years at Swindon since Glenn Hoddle played. Your kid Carrick obviously brought him back into the fold at West Ham.
He's been the biggest influence on my career. I know it's hard on managers now to put young players in the team because there's so much pressure, and he gave me my chance, and thankfully I took it.
Harry Redknapp was manager at the time, and he go and enjoy yourself was pretty much the message, son, and backed me down to the ground.
Wrapped in an England flag, unconcealed delight shows on the faces of the three West Ham midfielders called up by Sven-Göran Eriksson.
It means everything really to me. Just delighted.
They've all come through our youth team, all deserve it, and I'm so proud and so pleased for them.
In my youth team itself was me and Joe Cole. Rio was 2 years above me. Frank Lampard was 3 years above. You look up to them as if like they're different level, and you kind of catch them and then move on, and people below us like Glenn Johnson's and Jermaine Defoe, they look at you as if they want to be you, and it just family in a tight group look after each other.
They were a great group of kids. They all had fantastic attitudes. Every one of them want to do extra after training. They want to practice. They all want to be footballers. Not a minute's problem. They'd be on a par with the Man United group, that fantastic group that Alex had. All them six that I had all went on to win Premier League titles, Champions League. And if West Ham had kept the six of them, imagine what a club they could have built.
I got in the first team and I got in the England squad. Everything was rosy, everything was great. Thinking, oh, this is it, this is normal. Got a few injuries, groins, and struggled with a bit of growth, and form went a bit.
West Ham's tenure in the Premier League ended.
Got relegated with West Ham and actually hadn't played well at all, and been injured a bit, so there wasn't really a chance to leave, to be honest. But even at that same point, I probably wasn't ready to leave.
We want to hold on to our best players if we can. I'm realistic enough to know that in the England setup there'll be queries.
He got big players. I wasn't quite prepared for the fact that they wanted to go back to the Premier League quicker than the route West Ham needed to take. But Michael was very professional, very focused.
It's kind of, I went boom really quickly to get to the heights of where you could be at 19. So then quite quickly I was playing in the Championship when no one really who was looking at me before was looking at me now, you know. So it was a bit of a back down to with a bang really, which probably was a good thing at that time because it, oh hang on a minute son, come down here and start again if you like.
Crystal Palace are in the Premiership! Two sides to the stories and the tears are flowing for West Ham United.
Played very, very well for us in that season that we get to the playoff final. He was very kind of committed to West Ham. I don't think there was one West Ham moan up about, oh, Michael's not putting it in, etc., that I can remember. But Michael, no, was exemplary, really, from the moment I met him to the moment he left.
West Ham United Football Club, how can I help you?
They're taking the calls at Upton Park and open to offers for their most valuable asset.
If a bid comes in that doesn't match the true value of Michael Carrick, then we don't have to sell.
We're not in that precarious a position to be vulnerable to bids that we don't think are right.
We knew that the club was in such financial mess. Not going up that particular year put us in trouble. We knew that financial pressure, Michael was definitely going.
There's been rumours about Everton all summer, so nothing would surprise me.
Is that not true, you're saying?
Well, I don't know it's true, that's for sure.
We'd love to bring Michael Carrick to this football club. We'll do as much as we can to do that.
If he wants to come to play for us, he's welcome, but if we have to beg him, I'm not quite sure that's the right character for us.
We agreed a fee, Portsmouth, with West Ham, £2.5 million. Met Michael at his house, agreed everything with Michael and with the agent, got involved. And then they was travelling down for the medical, and I got a phone call from the agent saying that Tottenham had come in. I think Arsenal as well was interested. I said to Michael, if he's got a chance to go to Arsenal, I fully understand that. Arsenal's a great club.
Arsenal was very prevalent. I actually thought that's where he was going to go. And Arsenal's transfer policy at that time wasn't really about English midfield players. And maybe, you know, the ultimate decision was to leave it.
Daniel Levy said, look, we didn't know him really. I just thought if you were signing him, you had him at West Ham. When you work with someone and you take them with you, you've got to be some kind of idiot if you've worked with them for years and you don't know them, you know everything about them. It was great business from Daniel to get him.
I was just arrived to Tottenham. We have to change a lot in the squad. And I didn't know that at that moment, I didn't know that Michael was on the market.
There's been a lot of talk of Owen Hargreaves eventually coming to England.
Well, I think it's inevitable. Eventually...
That was your wee smile there.
I think eventually it's going to happen just because of the circumstance, whether it be now or later. Love to play in England.
I told Ole Hoeneß, which I know very well, he was the boss of Bayern Munich. He was okay. He said, if he wants to leave, no problem. I went to München for Hargreaves, but he said, no, I want to succeed here before I leave.
Danny Murphy has been attracting plenty of attention from clubs. Liverpool have confirmed that they have accepted Tottenham's offer of £3 million.
Murphy, he had a very good conversation with him, very intelligent guy, but he didn't want to come to us. And I love to get him in because we not only need one or two players, we need more players.
It appeared to be business as usual for Michael Carrick at West Ham's training ground, but manager Alan Pardew says the midfielder has been in negotiations with Tottenham.
Serious contact between Tottenham Hotspur and ourselves regarding Michael. He was due to play in the reserves last night. I pulled him out of that in case it was going to happen quickly. It hasn't.
Michael was not so good in the last part of the season at West Ham. He got a little bit maybe down. He needed change. Had a conversation with Daniel Levy, and he said it's possible to get him.
I think his contract was running out, so the board was stuck a little bit in terms of, you know, how much they could get. It was a real big loss for him to go, and obviously to our rivals, which really did upset West Ham fans because Spurs is obviously not the greatest of allies.
I spoke with him about how he has to play, where we think he has to play, and etc., knowing that our coach was not so fond about it. Obviously, I didn't tell him that. Obviously, Tottenham is Tottenham. It's a very attractive club to play for.
He'd been linked with a host of Premiership clubs, but in the end, Spurs got their man. The former West Ham midfielder says he's in no doubt White Hart Lane is the right choice.
Once Tottenham was involved, there was only one team that I wanted to come to be honest. That's why I'm here.
They signed me for 2.5 from West Ham. 2.5, that's crazy to say, you know, for what you get 2.5 these days, but that's what it was.
Fantastic for us, because he's also a British player. When players from here choose Tottenham, I'm very happy.
Jack Santini was the manager. I got to the training ground and Frank Arneson was sporting director at the time. I think there was a little bit of a clash going on and Frank kind of signed me, and then I walked in the office to meet Santini at the time. I don't think he really knew who I was at that time, and I remember coming out and speaking to my agent thinking he didn't know who I was, did he? And he said, "I'm glad you said that because I thought the same thing."
How did Santini react when you told him that you'd signed Michael Carrick?
Yeah, he was not very happy about it. He said, "Yeah, Frank, I don't know. Listen, he's a very good player. You will absolutely, I'm sure that you will use him whenever he can." But he was not really, he didn't know him and this and that. I don't think I need him. But I said, I think we need him.
It was a funny start, being in the reserves for 3 months really and not kicking a ball. And Martin Jol then came in as manager.
I can remember when we had that first game, it was horrific to be 2-0 down at halftime. So I decided to change it and I put Michael on.
Carrick signed for some £3.5 million from West Ham, but only 3 substitute appearances so far.
He turned the game on his own. The first thing he did was going past 3 or 4 men.
That's what Spurs have been lacking in the game so far. An instant transformation after the arrival of Michael Carrick.
He never used frills or things, you know, too much. He kept it simple. I have to play this guy.
Martin, he saw the quality of him and said, this is what we can use and we have to use him there and there, you know, because this is quality.
Michael Carrick had to wait to get into the Spurs side, but ever since Martin Jol took charge, he hasn't been left out.
There's something being built here that hopefully over the next couple of years will start telling and we can start being successful and hopefully winning a few trophies.
I think he's one of the most complete midfield players in England in that holding role.
For the next 18 months or so, loved it, absolutely loved it. Great club, and Martin Jol was fantastic for me. Put me in the team, gave me a lot of responsibility. It's funny, sliding doors, a career could have gone down a whole different path if Jack Santini stayed as manager or whatever and didn't really fancy me, and then I don't know where it ended up really.
I'd played with Michael Carrick in the England under-21s and knew the quality that he had. He was so calm on and off the field. He played like that. He was just an underrated player for me. I think he's one of the most underrated players I've ever played with.
Underrated, maybe underestimated is a better word. She was my conductor. I won't say of my Philharmonic Orchestra, but for my orchestra.
I wanted to get in the Champions League with Tottenham, and certainly, obviously, Martin did, and we had the team capable, we felt, of doing it.
Spurs at that time weren't Champions League contenders or even European contenders, but we sort of started building that.
We were 4th, and Daniel and the board, they were adamant, you know, we want to be in the Champions League.
It's a sickening day for Tottenham Hotspur, overtaken by their rivals Arsenal on the very last day. They woke up with illness in the camp.
Michael was one of the guys who was ill along with myself and probably 5 or 6 others that day.
It was very strange because I think 70% of the squad was ill.
The old lasagna gate or whatever that was.
They tried to cancel the game and then they tried to play 4 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock, but West Ham didn't want to cooperate, and then we had to play that game. It was awful.
We were so close to getting in the Champions League, so there was there was a bit of unfinished business for me.
Love him, hate him, you can't ignore him. And now, after over 12 years, Roy Keane's Old Trafford career has come to a dramatic end.
What I remember about that day is that Sir Alex Ferguson had his usual press conference at Carrington on the Friday morning. Nothing significant, no real business to talk about.
Metatarsal bones are they're pretty fragile really. He's on the way back anyway, and I think probably 2 or 3 weeks for him.
We're literally 5 minutes up the road away from the press conference and a statement is released. Roy Keane is leaving Man United, so we basically had a press conference, not mentioned it, waited till we all left the training ground, and then that was it.
It was a very amicable meeting with Roy and myself, and my best player in my time, but probably one of the best players ever in the history of the club.
So close in the past, now Sir Alex Ferguson must begin the search for a replacement.
He's a talismanic player for us, captain, won a lot with us, and unfortunately he left and we had to do it. That's the same in any football club. You always, you know, keeping it fluid, keeping it sort of up to date and changing every time. So I think we were prepared for it, put it that way.
United hadn't won the title since 2003. Chelsea were blowing everybody out of the water at that point. You know, Roman Abramovich, Jose Mourinho were coming as coach. They were buying all the best players, and United were going after players like Michael Ballack, Michael Essien, Arjen Robben, all these players that United lined up, and they went to Chelsea. They're now trying to replace Roy Keane, knowing that as soon as they identify a player, Chelsea might take him.
Michael Carrick, when did he first enter the club's radar?
That was a discussion that Alex would have with the scouts, with me, we'd have it with the owners. It's a fluid thing, that is the product, the team, so we always had it under review. We had tried numerous players in that position and they hadn't worked out for whatever reason, but Michael was a proven player in the Premier League.
At the time, United fans wanted somebody who was combative in midfield, who would control the midfield and break up play. And back then it was Owen Hargreaves. Owen Hargreaves had come back from the World Cup as probably the star of England's World Cup tournament, and the United fans wanted him.
I had signed a 4-year contract when I first signed for Tottenham, and it was Daniel was coming into 2 years, so it was either sign a new contract or kind of move on, really. That was where it was at. So coming to the end of that season was a little bit of what's going to happen, and there was a bit of interest, and you never really know at that stage. You know, you get whispers and this and that.
At the end of the season, you have the Premier League meeting and all the clubs get together. I approached Daniel at that meeting to say, look, we'd like to buy Michael. He clearly at that point said he's not for sale, so it went from there, really.
I was at the World Cup, Germany.
Hopefully, the squad we've got and the players we've got, we could win it. It's going to be difficult.
So it was kind of everything came at once. You know, it was my first World Cup. I was away with my family. I kind of started going through, actually, I might have to move on here.
Over the time, I got to know which players Alex definitely wanted and which players he would like to have possibly, but he wasn't that worried if we missed out on them. Michael was certainly in that category, one player that he definitely wanted, he felt would definitely improve the team, would be a stalwart for many years.
I was so happy at Tottenham. I really loved it at Tottenham. We had a great set of lads, we had a good team, really settled. Listen, I wanted to go to Man United on one side of it, but I didn't want to leave Tottenham on the other side.
It was no surprise that people were looking at Michael. He'd done it for West Ham at a young age. He'd then been in England under 21s. He was then doing it for Spurs and then in the England squad.
Michael Carrick's done well at Tottenham, but now bids come in, his future's uncertain. The Spurs coach is under no financial pressure to sell the 24-year-old, so has formally rejected United's offer of £10 million.
Manchester United was a very, very attractive team to come to. Still is, but probably even more so in those days, and particularly with Alex as the manager. I think Michael was very clear that he'd like to come to us, challenge himself at the top level. Spurs were an excellent team, don't get me wrong, but at the top level in the Champions League, etc. I was confident.
I was worried it wasn't going to happen at that stage, so that's why I was getting kind of frustrated. I was just about to go back training with Tottenham as well for pre-season at that point, so it kind of the timing of it as it was evolving was kind of dragging on, but Daniel was pretty stubborn.
He was a great negotiator. He's famous for it.
There's a myth around Daniel, and I think perhaps it's warranted, I'm not so sure, but all deals are different, whether it be overseas deals, local deals, so we were prepared for it and you just get on with it.
As it was going, I'm saying to Daniel, look, come on, like, you asked for 10, now it's gone to 12 or 30, whatever. I'm thinking that they're going to go and sign someone else. Every million, 2 million after that was quite a lot.
Did you ever think about walking away?
No, I don't think so. I think the very fact that Alex wanted him and we wanted him, now clearly there would be a price that perhaps you would have to walk away, but I don't think we'd ever get to that situation. The player wanted to come to us, and that is a key element of any transfer negotiation, I think.
You said, I want between 10 and 12 and ended up getting 18. That was Daniel, and fair play to him. He had his side of the court to battle out with.
Don't want to talk about business, it's about a player, and he fitted in well. It wasn't easy to say farewell. He came to the ground. You have to sometimes. He wanted to go there.
Did you try and convince him to stay?
I tried to, but I can't say to Michael, you can better stay at Spurs because it's a better club than Man United at that time. In Michael's brains, Man United was the top club.
It was a really good thing we had going. I had a really good connection. He was fantastic for me. We both didn't want me to leave. And I have to say, he understood.
Don't think that managers or coaches or whatever, you don't have a say. I couldn't convince him to stay.
He couldn't really put too much of a fight, even though we had a good chat about it, and he was totally sound. There was no animosity or anything about it.
He arrived at Manchester United's training ground ahead of completing his move. Michael Carrick has had people to meet and medicals to attend.
Well, he's had his medical. It's all been cleared tonight.
What's he feeling like tonight? He must be a happy boy.
He'll be happy. Terrific move for the lad. He's a great footballer. He's a marvellous pass to the ball.
I drove up to Manchester with a few bags of clothes, and I never went back to the house after that. Met David Gill. I'd spoke to Sir Alex on the phone once. I hadn't really discussed an awful lot with him. I just thought, if they want me, so Alex wants me, and the club's willing to pay that much money, that's me. I'm off.
I don't think it was a huge sell. I think Michael was an intelligent chap. He clearly played in the English league for many years. He knew what was going on. He could see what had happened at the club. So I think he was confident in his ability and confident in the direction of the club that he could come along and play a key part going forward.
Tell us about your first meeting with Sir Alex.
He said, "I'll come in my office for a chat," and I'll never forget it. Sat down like this, really, and was kind of nervous and trying to catch my breath, really. And I was 25, kind of established, played for England, and I was massively affected by just sitting across from him. And he just said, "Yeah, this is Man United, son. You'll love it. We do things different. People expect things different here, and people look at you different when you're at Man United and when you used to winning, blah blah blah. And the pressures are different." And I ain't got a clue why I said it. And Chelsea had won the league 2 years in a row, and as it was coming out of my mouth, I was kind of trying to stop myself from saying it. I said, "Oh, similar to what Chelsea's going through at the minute." And he just stopped me dead, and I stopped myself dead, and it was like, and he just went, "Nah, son, we're different. We're Manchester United. We're different from the rest." And I was like, "Why have I just said that? He's not going to play me ever again."
Straight to the middle, please.
Manchester United have splashed out an initial £14 million on Michael Carrick, but bonuses could take that figure past £18 million.
I just wanted to come and improve my game and become a better player and achieve things and win trophies.
The actual figure that we're guaranteed to pay is £14 million. Obviously, we wouldn't have done it if we didn't believe it, but we believe that's an appropriate figure.
Did it surprise you, the negative reaction to how much he cost?
Not really. I didn't really look at that too much, because if we hadn't been happy with the sum, we wouldn't have paid it. I always say on transfers, there's never a right fee, and we were comfortable with that figure. It turned out to be good value.
And it was a lot of money at the time, and too much. If I'm honest, at that time it was too much from where I was playing in the Championship 2 years before. So I was conscious of that, really. But once it was done, that didn't bother me one bit.
United were spending a very big fee on a player that hadn't been proven. And he wasn't really a player that you would mark out as a big name. He wasn't a player that everybody wanted. There was resistance from the fans, never mind the media. There were campaigns by fans to question the recruitment. Why are we signing Michael Carrick?
Honestly, it wasn't the price tag, it wasn't the fans or any pressure from outside. My focus turned, I've got to play with them players and I've got to play with that manager, so that was all of a sudden, that was where my expectation and pressure came from myself.
Got his shirt number?
16, number 16. I was happy to take that.
It didn't bother me that I was available, and I was like, yeah, take it.
I remember reading a lot in the press about that, and they made a good story out of it. For me, it didn't mean a lot. I'm not sure it did for him or Alex. I think he was coming, to say that was a number, he's happy to wear it.
The last owner was one of Sir Alex Ferguson's greatest ever captures, but the Manchester United boss is keen to stress his new signing Michael Carrick is not the new Roy Keane.
We kept saying about replacing Roy Keane and that type of thing, but you can't get Roy Keane, so we've been trying for 5 years.
There was no way I was replacing Roy Keane. Totally different characters, players, everything about it. So I never went in to replace someone.
Roy Keane was this fiery, tenacious, combative, everything that Michael Carrick wasn't. So the fans are thinking, well, we're not champions anymore. We've lost our best player, our best captain, and he's been replaced by a player from Tottenham with potential. What's happening to Man United?
The biggest mistake you can make is try to find somebody like Roy Keane. There is only one Roy Keane, so don't try to find him. And what United needed was a good defensive midfielder that understood the game, that had an engine to basically play between the two boxes, which Michael was fantastic there, because if you had Michael and Paul Scholes together in midfield, they balanced each other out so perfectly well.
My focus was, I need to earn the trust of the boys. Giggsy, Scholesy, Wayne, Rio. I need to earn that trust. The outside pressure, honestly, it didn't bother me. If the manager was picking me and I was in that team, I felt I was doing enough and I was happy with that.
He's not bothered by the fuss. So everyone else, people like myself and the fans are talking about, you've got Roy Keane's jersey. Michael Carrick would not have had a minute's lost sleep about that. He'd just shrug it off. It's like, well, so what? It's Roy Keane's number. That's the personality he has.
First training session and going into that, you're on your own, you almost feel lonely and you've got to prove to everyone and you're in the thick of it. There's no hiding place. That first training session is as nervous as I've been.
He settled in straight away. He was the type of character that you could get on with very easy, but I wouldn't say we spoke about him as much as being a replacement for Roy, but it was a case of we played against him obviously a good few times when we were aware of his talent. We were just excited to get one of England's best young midfielders really into the building, and once balls are getting fired into him and he's able to deal with it, and you see the passing range he has and the touch and control and quality he has, he soon settled in.
Michael Carrick with a splendid strike.
He was a very intelligent player, thought about the game really, really well, could have great conversations with him about football, about tactics, about systems, etc.
Carrick keeps on running and finds the net.
You're coming into that central midfield role. His legacy is to be able to take that mantle and bring it forward to sustain success. And that comes down to his professionalism, his quality, but also how he affected the games for Manchester United.
The best modern player to compare to is Rodri at Man City. That's Michael Carrick all over. But Carrick never got the acclaim that Rodri gets.
5 league titles, Champions League, 2 runners-up. He was just known as one of a key player for Manchester United for that period. So I think he's recognised as one of the most important and best midfielders we've had, and did it in a way with no ego.
I feel just totally privileged. 5 leagues in 7 years. The time after that was mixed, which made me appreciate that 7 years of being at the club at the time when we had that team with that manager and players in the peak and everything just come together. Like it was quite unique, really. But it was just an absolute privilege and a pleasure to be at the club at that time, to sample it and feed off it. And dreams, really.